Namaste everyone. This is Shantini, and today we are going to be diving deep into the magic world of open source development. Open source development is one of the domains of computer science engineering, and it is an extraordinary field to showcase your coding skills. And today I'm going to be considering and explaining about one of the core open source development projects, which is currently running online live. That is GirlScript Summer of Code for 2025. GirlScript Summer of Code 2025 includes, it's a 3-month open source contribution program, which is open to both boys and girls, irrespective of their gender. The name stands as GirlScript Summer of Code. That might be misleading sometimes because it was organized by the GirlScript Summer of Code Foundation, by the GirlScript Foundation, which was headed over by our team of girls, which was an India-based nonprofit, which is designed in order to help and support women, especially. I'll just shift it right away because it's getting over the PPT. It's designed to help and support beginners, which is usually women, in order to get started with contribution to open source projects. It's a 3-month program, which is open to everyone, to CS students, non-CS students from any backgrounds. And it would be especially beneficial, and working professionals can also take part, of course, and it would be exceptionally beneficial for you in order to sharpen your coding skills and in order to make yourself a regular candidate to the open source magic world. So how does it work? Everything, it would be explained in detail. I'll try my best. And if you're still left with any doubts, clarifications, the comment section is open to all. It includes mentorships, PRs, and leaderboards, swags, and certifications. It starts with a very beginner-friendly approach, and it is a good place in order to start your open source journey. So if we speak about open source, some of the gold standards of open source development include some of the very like projects which everyone like almost knows about, and every open source enthusiast at least follows from their core. That is Google Summer of Code and Outreachy Summer and Winter of Code. Outreachy Summer and Winter of Code, they are 3-month paid stipend based internship programs, which are like the gold standard for open source program development, and they are like responsible for single-handedly, not single-handedly, like one of the most important, like they set the bar so high as the gold standard for open source development and contribution. So open source enthusiasts, attention to you all. If you intend to start your journey, since Google Summer of Code and Outreachy Summer and Winter of Code, which you may intend to take part in the very near future, for this year, like the Google Summer of Code for 2026, you can of course be a part of it. And for Outreachy, which conducts their 3-month based internship programs for summer and winter separately, you can take part in the Outreachy Winter of Code, given the fact this is being recorded in August 2025. So you can, of course, definitely take part in the outreach winter internship for students. The outreach internships are somehow like some of them programs are targeted especially towards college students. But for GirlScript Summer of Code, which we are going to be brief in a very short while, your campus ambassador and mentor is going to brief you in a very short while. It's open to all, of course. But for in future, if you want to advance your skills of open source development, the gold standard of open source, if you intend to take part in, it would be highly beneficial if you try your hands on open source development. It's a more beginner friendly approach, and you get push and pull and get used to the open source world. GirlScript Summer of Code would be a fantastic start for you. Not just that, GirlScript Summer of Code in itself has come a long way from multiple years and having multiple registrations and students and coding enthusiasts from all over the world who take part, and they improve themselves throughout the process, and they are a changed individuals by the end of the process. The coding journey which you intend to take part in, this is your call if you intend to start. And we'll go in detail about GirlScript Summer of Code for 2025. The registrations applications are open for you right now, but it closes very soon. So it would be our responsibility to inform you that Since the registration is close soon, you might do it ASAP as possible. So, what's open source projects all about, intending to any open source beginners out there? So, I would like to give a brief description of it, because intending to go in detail, it would be your entire open source project program journey. So, I would like to brief it in a very short few steps. And like we are crunching in information, like it's an entire magic world. It's like a magic elixir for coding. So, it would be advisable that you guys check it by yourselves, but I'll like give a short crisp abstract for what open source program is, programs and projects, how do they work and run, and everything about it. So it all starts very plain and simple. Of course, first you're supposed to register for whichever open source program you're taking part in. But apart from that, you can be encoding an open source enthusiast who is not targeting any particular program, and it's just for the sake of development of open source programs. Open source includes the code bases of organizations, of apps. Like you must be very familiar with VS Code, for example. You must be very familiar with GitHub, for example. They are like considered the diamonds for coding community when it comes to. They are all open source projects. Their code bases are available freely to the coding enthusiasts community or to the layman out there. It's completely available to you over GitHub, and you can go yourself research about them, and you can find and learn more about them, about the code bases of how these applications work and run. Other than that, it also includes the open issues which are remaining to be solved, some of the issues which has been closed, and how the codes have been implemented. You can find it from there. You can, for improving your depth and knowledge of understanding, it's an incredible source and platform. Other than that, it also includes, it gives you the freedom in order to find and raise new issues and post them over GitHub. GitHub is having the version control system. It's an extremely beneficial platform for coding enthusiasts from all over the world to communicate together and like help and grow the community as a whole. It's not like a contest or competition for two individuals against one another, but it's more like a community approach where everyone helps each other and grows in a as a like a unit and as a community. So a community word, it was an extremely apt word perhaps for open source development. So how would you start your journey? If you start about open source, you are going to explore the world right by yourself. Of course, the internet is out there to help you, but I'll just make the few pointers real quick. That is, you start by checking the code bases of the organizations you intend to contribute in. If you're taking part in the program, there will be a list of selected organizations which will be published in the official website of the program you're going to contribute to. For our case, it's GirlScript Summer of Code 2025. It's not, it's coming soon. It has come, it has of course landed, and it's about to take off. So you must fasten your seatbelts and find out the names of the selected organizations from the official website of GirlScript Summer of Code. In this case, you are a beginner or you're an advanced participant for open source development project, it's up to you. It's the world of open source. It's open to all, and it's not just open to all, it also includes all the domains you would perhaps would like to contribute to. It includes languages from HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It can be very beginner friendly like Python to very advanced models of machine learning and AI maybe. So whatever suits your taste, you can choose. That freedom is given to you by the world of open source projects. So once you select the code bases, you go through the code bases. You're supposed to find out some good first issues if you're a beginner. So I'm targeting mostly beginner friendly audience at this point. Maybe perhaps if you're advanced, you can go ahead, you just your cheerleader would be here. But if you're a beginner, you are supposed to find out some good first issues. Where to find them? Head over to the GitHub page of the particular organization you intend to contribute to. Once you open the GitHub page, you will find an entire tab dedicated to good first issues. So if you're a beginner, good first issues are a great place to start. You have already seen through the code base. You have figured out which good first issue you're going to solve, which is going to be your first PR. Before that, you're supposed to fork and clone the project in your system locally. What does that mean? Forking and cloning the system in your system, it would mean that a remote copy of the entire code base, which was uploaded in the cloud, a local copy of that would be stored on your device. For example, like you might be using some of the very popular cloud-based storage applications. It can be like ranging from a lot from Microsoft to Google Photos or emails or anything. Like it's almost like having a cloud-based storage, and when the code base is like on the cloud-based storage, and you have a local copy, you take a local copy from the cloud-based storage to your own local system. So once you get it in your local system, which can be your laptop, desktop, computer, wherever you're working, so once you get a copy of that code base in your own local system, you have the clone of the project. Clone, of course, a duplicate. The entire code base is now in your system, and you are free to you are free to find out issues, you're free to solve them, you're free to like completely take charge of the code base and work at it. You're supposed to work out your skills, and once you figure out the issues you're supposed to solve, you can, in this case, if you're taking part in the contest, you are supposed to speak to the project mentors and project administrators who would be assigning you issues. Once you get an issue assigned to you, you can work on it, of course. And once your code base is ready for after your provided code base, your written lines of code are ready, you are supposed to fork that particular project in the repository of the project in the GitHub. All these functions are taking place in GitHub, so GitHub would be the first place to start with. So you're supposed to fork it, and you're supposed to code, of course, with a cup of coffee, because coding and coffee as of goes hand in hand. So you're supposed to code with a cup of coffee. Tea lovers are also welcome, of course. India is famous for tea, so everyone is welcome. And you can, of course, go on a no caffeine diet as well. We would support you more mentally, of course. Once you push your written code in your GitHub to the forked repository. So you're supposed to supposed to make a fork of the entire code base being there. You're supposed to make a fork, like there will be multiple forks also sometimes available. So you're supposed to submit your code in a fork and not in the actual code base. It would be easier for the project mentors and administrators and the maintainers of the repository to look for the forked submissions. Actually, if you submit it in a forked basis, it will be easier for them to do. So you're supposed to push your code, written lines of code, to the through the forked part of the GitHub project, in the forked repository, to be exact with the technical terms, to have the technical jargon on, and not to scare off any beginners, of course. You will just get used to it once you step into the world with more and more. They will serve as your elixirs later on, maybe. So once you get it to the forked repository, you're supposed to push your written code. Once you make a push of your written code, you're supposed to write a PR or a pull request. We will just fancily call it a PR. That is a pull request. Pull request would be made to the official GitHub repository of the organization which you are intending to work with or you're working with currently. And a pull request would include a detailed explanation of the code, a detailed explanation of it's in a crux, the lines of code, and an explanation of the issues which are being intended to being solved in this particular approach. It can be an explanation of brute force, or why you are accepting or rejecting a particular idea, or it can be a detailed explanation on pull request would be coming up soon, or you may go off through the length and breadth of internet and get more idea about a pull request, because framing and drafting a pull request is very important, because that single-handedly serves as if like your paper of commitment to the organization. It is like your single page resume for your open source project contribution as such. And so drafting a pull request has to be very carefully and consciously done. Once you send the pull request to the particular organization, administrators, the project administrators, mentors, and the maintainers of the project, they would look through it and they would figure out if that suits the intent and thought and workflow of the particular company or of the particular organization. If it matches, well and good, great. Welcome to your first pull request being merged. Of course, that calls for a celebration. So all beginners must definitely never forget to celebrate your first PR. It's a big achievement, a big win on your part to get your first PR merged. Once the program, the managers or the maintainers rather of the particular code base, they find out that your PR or pull request is really useful and meaningful, and it adds a value to the code base of the company, and it aligns with the thought and the workflow process of the particular organization, they would merge it straight away to the code base. So you can see a live implementation of your written lines of code into your favorite organization of your choice. So it's a big win on your part if you're a beginner, and make sure to celebrate it. While we move on to the next slide. If you're taking part in the Google GirlScript Summer of Code, before Google Summer of Code, of course, and you will be availing a certificate of recognition. I'm sorry to use like random certificate screenshots, which I found all over the internet. So you would get yourself honored with one of these digital certificates, which you can, of course, use them to implement and boost up your portfolio and resume, and, of course, flex it on LinkedIn and have a proof of your open source contributor spirit. Other than that, we are having the Postman API Fundamental Student Expert certifications at this point live with GirlScript Summer of Code tenure, and it will be a completely free of cost certification which you can avail right now, registering at the Postman API Fundamentals and their official website. The links to all the resources would be down in the description and in the first pinned comment, of course. And if you're having any clarifications, the comment section is open to thoughts of yours. So you can avail this Postman API Fundamentals Student Expert at this point. It's a very good start for all coding enthusiasts, of course. Right. Enough of the big jargon, technical jargon rather. So what are we getting? Yeah, I should be there in front of all the goodies. So you can imagine yourself with all these cool goodies and swags and all of this beautiful content, all of this beautiful swags from the GirlScript Summer of Code organization, if you make it to the best contestants of the program. So what are the official details from previous year winners and stuff? This is important. We need to know what candies we are getting at the end of the successful completion of the program, other than some digital certificates to flex on the portfolio and LinkedIn. So we are getting goodies and prizes, which include the top 3 performers getting cash prizes. Please ignore that notification. The top 25 performers will avail a letter of recommendation and LOR and internship opportunities throughout the GirlScript Summer of Code organization and through other organizations, of course. It will be a flex on the technical side. Other than that, the top 50 performers of the leaderboard, they will be getting some cool t-shirts and swags and some stickers, and we can see it like a colorful explosion on the screen at this point. So the participants with at least a single merged PR will receive digital certificates. And we can move on at least for the while. So what are the timeline of the entire program? Okay, this includes some of the timeline of the program of some advanced open source contribution projects, which includes the Google Summer of Code for 2026. Usually, Google Summer of Code registrations for the official Google Summer of Code, the announcement of the organizations of the selected organizations is usually in the last week of February, and the selected organizations are announced. I guess for this particular year it had been on 28th February it was supposed to be, but under some unfavorable circumstances they postponed, and it, I think, got released on 3rd or 4th of March actually. The organizations are announced, and February to March, mentor-mentee discussions are open for the Google Summer of Code. This is a gold standard for open source contribution project. So if you have tried your hands on some of the beginner-friendly projects of GirlScript Summer of Code, what's next for you? If you intend to know where your future self would be in order to flex yourself, or you're supposed to push yourself through the failed PRs sometimes and maybe cry over the code or coffee. So some inspiration, some inspo for your future self, which is really well accustomed to open source contributions and development. So some future inclinations. If you're intrigued, you might, of course, try your hands on GirlScript Summer of Code at this point. February to March, the mentor-mentee discussions are open. How to contact the mentors? You would find detailed website in the websites of Google Summer of Code, detailed mentioning of the like the mentors in LinkedIn's profiles and GitHub repositories, and you can connect to them one-on-one and get your doubts clarifications, doubts on like your contributions, and more information on why your PR is not making up to, it's not up to the mark for getting merged, or like exactly the thought process or the workflow or anything in your mind as such. So mentored and mentee discussions are usually open in during February to March. The official contribution process starts actually. The dates vary from year to year depending on their program workflow. It changes, of course, so you should keep an eye on the websites during the particular time and date of the month of the year, so you would just get the announcements soon, or in through the community post of this particular channel. We'll try to communicate the dates as when we are close to the opportunity coming up. November is when most people already start. If you go through some of the lectures, it's not something you should say in a professional declaration video, probably, but you will listen to the selected individuals saying that, yeah, I started doing my contributions from November or before November. Or if you follow the famous Harkarat Singh over YouTube, who is like an open source enthusiast, extreme level of dedication of, and like an open source inspiration to many open source enthusiasts at this point, you would find him like declaring it out loud that you must start your contributions by November. Like November serves as like the deadline or something, whether the actual official deadline is in the month of February. So it's open to you. You may look for it. May first week, the selection announcements are generally made from Google, of course, whether you are an official intern at Google or not. That declaration, it would be in the first week of May. In the second week of May to the month of June, the community bonding period is given from Google. The official interns at Google, they communicate and make the community bonding become very strong. They test their Googliness, whether how much or what they fit, a cultural fit, and all that. So it's a beautiful community bonding period, and so bonding community over code. June to the month of September, the standard coding periods remain. So it's from the month of June, July, and September. It's 3 month program again. So the month of June, July, and September serves as the official summer period when you go through this Google Summer of Code. September to November, it serves as, there's a typo, I'm sorry. The bigger projects which end like having some, there are some bulked program projects like machine learning and artificial intelligence programs or something. So those bigger projects, they may require a higher deadline for contributions. So those programs are given a slight higher time for contribution for their deadlines to end. November 15th is the final date for mentors to submit their official report. So it's not for the candidates or the students or for us, it's for the mentors to submit. So of course your submission must land before like by the last day of November for sure, if it is a bigger project. And if it is a standard project which is having a standard timeline and deadline, it would be within the month of September. Of course, again, these are a little like vague because it's catering to a larger audience and to a larger code base, and it's not maintained for a particular organization or a particular project of your choice. The project you intend to, you should of course have a one-on-one conversation with the mentors, like in during the mentor-mentee discussion period, or to other fellow contributors for the same program who got selected and shortlisted maybe, or to see or to like past members who have taken part in Google Summer of Code before, and you can have like one-on-one conversations regarding how and what, and the 101 for GSOC. Other than GSOC, we can move on into outreachy, of course. So outreachy internships are special. Outreachy is a special organization we look forward to. That is, they have a huge impact towards the welfare determination, towards the welfare of a huge mass of people. And it just fills my heart with joy to even like speak about outreachy at this point. So outreachy is a non-government based organization, and they intend to do a lot of work towards the welfare of the community and development. It would just go on, I can just go on and on explaining the beautiful effects outreachy had in our society throughout the years, and the non-government, how much a non-government organization can, when they take it on them, how much progress they can make. Outreach is a clear example of that. So outreach internships have some declarations, and you should go through that community and interns and owners and everything. Of course, you can donate to outreach and be a member. And other than that, like outreach has this incredible lineage, which you can just go on through the internet. I won't go on and on. I would just give the crux, try to grip the crux. A call. This is a detailed table tabular format. I have not tried to smudge it anyway. So we would just focus on the actual. So Outreachy performs two internships, as I said in the starting, that is the summer internship and the winter internship. So call for the mentoring communities open during early January for mid-year internships or the summer internships to be more accurate. They start in early January. The initial applications are open until early February. If you follow the pointer, we are now speaking about the summer internship. So this particular column includes the summer internship details, and this particular column includes the winter internship details. That is the end of the year internships or winter internships rather. First, the summer outreach internship details include the mentoring communities. It's open to early January. So if you're a community member and you want your project to be there showcased in outreach, and if you want to be one of the organizations, of course this is your deadline to submit your program. So communities are welcome by early January. Initial applications are open until early February, of course, and then initial applications are due by the end of February. This is the deadline for the community's submissions. Sorry for that. Community a contribution period, it starts in early March. So the contributors' attention, coding enthusiasts and beginners and advanced, your deadline, your contribution period starts with mid-March. That is of course, you have to be very clear with it. It's a summer internship. It's just the peak of summer, mid of March. They open their contribution period. The contribution period end or deadline, which I said, the deadline is in the mid of April. So the 1 month contribution period is open to you if you are intending to get yourself a place at outreachy summer internship. The interns are announced by mid of May. That is exactly a month after the coding period ending. That is in the mid of May, the interns are announced. The internships are announced in the mid of interns are announced, and then the internship starts in May and it goes on until August. You can exactly follow the same pattern for this winter internship for outreachy. That is, it starts now. Mentoring communities deadlines go until September, starting at August. Then the coding period starts from early October to the end of October. Interns are announced in the month of November, and internship starts from December to March. So you can avail yourself again December, January, February, March. That is a 3 to 4 month internship program, depending on your project and your particular organization and what are their expectations. Some stipend information, which is actually secondary when it comes to open source contribution, but it's sort of like an essential integration when you are taking part such time, energy, and efforts. You must know what your stipend looks like. So for Google Summer of Code, the stipend looks like something $750 to $3,000, which is in Indian rupees. Of course, I'm expecting that the audience would be majorly from India, so it comes to something like 65K to 2,62K. And for outreach internship, which is again, outreach has some standards to maintain, which is you have your background checks are important, and your other than your contributions and your pointers for getting selected for outreach, it depends on a lot of factors other than the code and the coding itself. So those are very important pointers to make sure to remember. One very important factor to make keep in mind if you intend to take part in outreachy has this strict policy that if you have already been selected in GSOC, that is Google Summer of Code, you cannot take part in outreachy. So if you are an extremist in open source enthusiast and you intend to take part in both of them, it's a genuine advice from a genuine person who faced this particular scenario. That is, you should take part in outreachy before. So if you get selected or shortlisted as Google Summer of Code's intern, you won't be eligible for outreach internship in your lifetime. You can take you can be an intern at outreach once in your lifetime, and for GSOC you can be an intern twice in your lifetime. Given the fact that the outreach internship must be done before the Google Summer of Code internship, of course. Of course, outreach internship has its fixed stipend of 7,000 USDs. Actionable steps, it would be understanding the system. For beginners who are watching this particular case, you are supposed to understand the system. Of course, the internet is open to you, the world, it's just open. Just explore and understand, and more detailed information can be shared. If you're having any doubts, any clarifications, the comment section is open for your thoughts and understanding. Of course, it's an open source contribution, so there will be open source enthusiasts and everyone solving each other's doubts and clarifications, and we grow as a community. Connecting with me on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn link or profile would be shared, right? This is your campus ambassador and mentor from GirlScript Summer of Code. So any kind of referral code, the referral code for registration, I'll share the steps for registration to GirlScript Summer of Code right now after a while. And if you're having any doubts, any clarifications, the comment section is open to you, and my LinkedIn is profile is also there for you. There will be an official doubts and clarifications group, and we have a community chat on through Discord and other platforms as well, on Discord, Telegram, and etc., etc. So if you are intending, depending on your seriousness and all, you would keep getting shortlisted. So if you are intending to join a community of people, open source enthusiasts, you can definitely look forward. Okay, right now, what can be the actionable steps? It should be like TLDR, too long didn't read. So I'll just brief it again. I'll just shift my thing really quick. Okay. So there will be community links will be circulated. If you intend to join, you may of course join using an official referral number for GirlScript Summer of Code. I just put it in the very center. It's random for me to keep shifting it. So you'll have the official referral number for GirlScript Summer of Code. So your campus ambassador and mentor, of course, for our campus, of course, you're supposed to use the campus referral number. And if you're, of course, from all any other campuses, you're welcome. You can use the referral number at any point. It is there in the description, in the comment section, in the first pinned comment, and in the description of this particular video. So you're supposed to register on the Insights application. It's a registration application. You're supposed to select your contributor tag when you're registering. Confirmation must be, you can share your confirmation if you're registered, or if if you're facing any issues, you can of course say. You can learn more about the open source community for beginners and starters. Open source community is a huge world, and you can learn about it online. Okay, there's another typo. I'm just so sorry for it. You can introduce yourself and your project ideas and be active in the community. So one very important thing about open source is the communication contribution community. That is the bonding of the community members, one to all. So the community conversation should be kept alive, and it's very important. It's supposed to be active in the community, high quality PRs, and no spam or AI generated codes. Please be very careful, because what you're contributing and what role you're taking part, you must be very sincere about it. And when you are taking part in big organizations and contributions like this, you have to be very extra cautious about the contributions you're making. High quality PRs, submission of quality codes in 3-month process. Merged PRs, you can of course flex them on LinkedIn and you can use them in your portfolio and registration process, and they can help you avail internships and placements later on if you're a college student at this point. You can make sure to tag me and the official page while you're posting your PRs. You can avail 2 free certifications on successful completion of GirlScript Summer of Code, which includes the Post 1 API certification. There is a list of steps to follow for Post 1 API certification as well, which is very simple, and the links would be shared. And for open source certification, that is from GirlScript Summer of Code. Of course, again, it's a repetition of the first slide, so kindly go through it once you need it. This is Shantani, and we are your campus ambassador and your mentor at the GirlScript Summer of Code 2025. Sorry for fumbling multiple times. We are having 2 communities in this particular campus. That is the ICBC in competitive coding. There's a competitive programming or CP community, and the open source coding community. And you can follow me on LinkedIn. That's my LinkedIn profile ID right there. So you can follow that. I'll mention and share the steps for registration real quick. I'll try to get it. Okay. So I hope this is visible, the Insights application. Okay. The Insights applications, once you install the Insights application in your cell phone or your laptop, you can go ahead you will be starting with this home tab right here. So you are supposed to head over to these 3 dot, that is the black button on the right lower corner. Once you go, this is the explore tab right here. You will find it opening up. So once you go head on to the Explore tab right there, you can find the registration, that is the applications open for GirlScript Summer of Code 2025. It's of course by GirlScript Foundation. One important thing, make sure to, when you're registering, you are registering with your official name, email ID, and your value of the information which you're providing are accurate. And make sure to use your own image, because it would come in your ID card. If you are getting, if you're registering for as a contributor, this image which you, the, what profile picture, right, you are supposed to use your own profile picture, because it will come in your ID card. So make sure not to use any animes or any Superman, Iron Man images there, because then you will get an ID of Superman at that point. So once you head over to these applications, it will just open up. So once you select contributor, the entire form will open up. For me, it's not opening at this point because I already have one. So I'll just head over to project admin or something. Yeah. So you will you're supposed to head over to contributor. Please be careful. Since I already have my ID, I cannot show you that. So it will open up a form like this. That is, it's like a very simple form that includes the email address and phone number which are required, and your gender and LinkedIn profile URL, GitHub URL, and your resume URL as such. And once you fill up all these details, once you head over to next, there will be more details expected of you, and the organization name and project descriptions and stuff. This is for the mentor. I think for contributor it's way more simple. So you're supposed to apply your details. You within a week's or within some time after they rigorously go through your resume and stuff, hopefully you'll receive a contributor ID. It's open to beginners, or beginners can be joining it without any fear. So you will receive your contributor ID, something looking like this. You will have your ID image right over here, the profile and your ID. You can flex it on LinkedIn and use it for your profile. That's on all for registration on the Insights application.